So we've reached the second glorious mystery, and while there is not much that we can say about our Lord's resurrection by observation because there are no witnesses, there's plenty that we can say about his ascension. I'm going to limit myself, for everyone's sake, to two particular points so that we can better understand our Lord's ascension. So 40 days after he rises from the dead, on a Thursday, our Lord then gathers with his disciples for the last time in this way on earth, and then ascends into heaven. Now, there are again two particular points about this which are very important. The first is the purpose of his coming in the first place and then going back is not just simply to die as a legal action to save us from sin. He comes for the sake of union. He first joins with us in a human nature in his incarnation, and then he unites us to himself in his divine sonship and brings us to heaven. The reason that we can go to heaven is because we are part of Christ, and Christ now has taken our humanity, his body, into heaven. Remember, anything that can be said about Christ's physical body can in some way be said about his mystical body, which is the church. And if his church is in heaven and we remain members of his church, then we will be in heaven as well. Not in the sense of simply being registered as St. Jude, not just in the sense of giving our weekly money and having envelopes or taking a bulletin after Mass, but in the sense of being really united to Christ in the way that we believe, in the way that we act, in the way that we worship. So it's all about union, and because of our union with Christ, his going to heaven means that we can go to heaven as well. But to understand this journey to heaven, we have another very important indicator. When we talk about 40 days, there are a couple of things that should come to mind, but the most important thing that should come to our mind when we talk about 40, it should be a reference to the Exodus, the wandering in the desert for 40 years between the time that the Israelites were freed from slavery in Egypt at the Passover to the time that they crossed the River Jordan into to Palestine, the Promised Land. Christ descends 40 days after Easter because he is taking us on a new exodus that is a result of his dying as the Paschal Lamb, and that we follow him in this exodus. The goal is to get to the promised land of heaven, but like the Israelites, we are weak and sinful, and we want to keep going back to our slavery to sin and the devil. And so, again, this mystery is very important because we want to be where our head has gone, Christ being the head of his mystical body, the church. But in order to do that, we have to follow him. And it's not just, again, a matter of having a feeling. It's not just about saying words and professing articles of faith. It's actually living it. We have to receive the law from him. We have to keep the Sabbath, the Lord's Day. We have to eat the heavenly manna. We have to remain faithful and to follow him until the end in trust and confidence. And then, when we come to the end of our Exodus, we cross over from death into life for eternity in the promised land